Megg Thompson is a former kindergarten teacher. That means she knows what she's talking about. She was a teacher for 10 years. She's a certified behavioral consultant and a certified life coach, working with children, adults, and families. Megg is also the founder of Megg Thompson Behavior Consulting. To get where she is today, she's interned with Bev Boz. Are you serious? At
Yeah,
the
I did.
Community Preschool in Roseville, California, while getting her master's degree in early childhood ed from the University of New Hampshire. Through these experiences, she's adopted a proactive and strength-based approach to behavior. She uses this model to help all children, capital ALL, and adults find success and empowerment through their natural design. She spends her days in both public and private schools, early learning centers, preschools, and in-home, helping children of all ages to be the best they can be. She's also a children's book author, which, by the way, you sent me your books, so we got to make sure to plug those. Rhyming All the Time and Later. And so those has been so much fun. So check those out. If we have time, I'll read a little bit of them because I just love the illustrations and all the talking points that you can have in those. So you can check her out at Scootin' Newton Books. And also she is super active on Instagram. So if you're an Instagram person, go to @Megg Thompson Behavior on Instagram.
With 2 G's. I don't know where 1 G takes you. 2
Don't
G.
forget the second G. Her mom and dad would be very upset.
Well, so my mom named me Megan, Meaghan. No one ever gets that right. So in 6th grade, my friend Liz and I, she put 2 Z's on Liz. I put 2 G's on Meg. And it stuck since 6th grade.
Stuck. Love it. Love it. Okay. So today we are going to be talking about something a bit controversial. And I just want to say right up front, I think the best thing whenever you are coming into a situation where you have a belief system that may differ from someone else, one of the best ways to approach it is to say, right at this moment, I allow myself to listen. So I encourage you, instead of being defensive about the way that you do it, because that's just our ego that wants to hold on to that. So instead, what I want you to think of is there may be another way. And think of a time in your life where you thought things were a certain way. And then you, maybe you read a book or you went to a talk or you got to know someone and they brought a different perspective. And at first you might have pushed away from it because it was different. But then over time, it started to click and it started to make sense. So today, as we go through this, I want you to have that mindset. I believe that when we don't defend and instead we listen, we can open ourselves up to possibly a whole new world that could bring beautiful things to your life and to the children that you have. So I'm just going to say that right up front. All right. So I met Meg on Instagram when I decided that maybe I should look into Instagram. There's just so many pictures and words that I've pushed away Instagram for a while, forever.
Ditto.
But I just decided, okay, I'm just going to try. And so Meg's video would pop up and the videos would be about talking about things that she was so stinking passionate about. Mm-hmm. And that's what I think when we are talking about what's passionate, we know that somebody has a reason to do it. So Meg today has been generous enough to come and share what she's experienced, what she has found to be her truth, that she has found value in. And I cannot wait. So today we're going to start with this, Meg. Well, after you take a drink, I want you to take me on your journey. And I want you to tell me what you do and why you do it.
Wait, do you want to know how I got there?
I don't know.
Okay, so I got there because I have a bachelor's in communication, so I was in advertising for a second of my life. But I'd always babysat. I was really good with kids because I'm funny and engaging and like bubbly. And so kids were always attracted to me and hanging out with me and being funny. And so I taught kindergarten, but I went into kindergarten with a bachelor's in communications, which doesn't really help you out in the education field. I was like, I got hired because I had metallic spandex on, under a dress, and I gave really good underdoggies. That is actually why I got the job as a kindergarten teacher.
Well, let's be honest. That matters.
So mad. Well, to the kids.
Yeah, that's who matters.
The director.
They're the judge.
The director said, "What do you want Meg to come back?" And one kid said she dresses cool. Another kid says she gives great underdoggies. And I was like, does that mean I'm hired? So as I went through, I didn't really know. And I love the disclaimer because I did all the things I'm telling you not to do. I taught for 10 years. I did all the things. I saw the shame, guilt, and embarrassment on the other side, but I was really good with the hard kids. But if you asked me when I was teaching why, I didn't have the language and I didn't know why I was. And I went back to school to get my master's, and then I got my certificate in behavior. I was like, oh, that's why. And I've never really fallen into the external reward system kind of behavior group, although I fight that all the time. It's everywhere. It's all over the place. And it's me and like 5 other people kind of over here wearing sparkles and playing with unicorns and with drunk squirrels that live in their head that's trying to be like, no, we're doing, and I say that we're doing the wrong thing. And I put that in parentheses because of that disclaimer. We're doing the wrong thing, but it's like hurting kids. And I come at it with sharp edges, and I don't mean to, with sharp edges, with megaphones, right? I have 2 megaphones, megaphone, of course, with 2 G's. But I like really, really, really believe that we need to do a different way. And I also, Jocelyn, I was on Facebook. And I was like, I'm just going to stay on Facebook. Instagram is scary. There's a lot of like rules, and it's a game that you have to play. And also, I have a hard time with the game because I work really hard and try all these things, and then it's really hard to grow, and then you lose followers, and you're like, oh. But Facebook is also antiquated, they say, and I'm like, oh, so I'm 50 away from 20,000 people, and I'm like, oh, which is like so exciting. So exciting. But I'm like, there are people with 1 million and if I was Kim Kardashian, I think she has like 45 million or something.
Yeah, but she also has 45 million problems.
That is a true story. And I'm not jealous of Kim Kardashian at all.
Bless you, Kim, wherever you're at. I'm sure she's probably watching.
You don't think she's watching? We're celebrities. So I am passionate, extremely passionate, but I also try to be fun and friendly. And I think the part that people like about me is that if you saw me off of this outside in like the world, this is who I am. Hair on top of my head, t-shirt. I'd say jeans right now. I have sweatpants. They're Athleta. I feel like that's dress up sweatpants.
Yeah, right? For sure.
Yeah. And that's, I am this person. I'm genuine and real. And I think that not a lot of that happens on social media. So I feel like, and you need to be like that, right? Because relationships are your best behavior strategy. So I have to be like this with kids, right? I had a little girl today. She's 5. She knows that it's Tuesday. She waits for me in her like bow window. And then when I come down the street, she goes like this and runs outside and runs to my car and hugs me. And I'm like, and then when I left, she went on the window and made a heart. Stop it. I said, oh, that was my favorite part of the day. But I feel like that's what we need. We need people like that to go in, and behavior sometimes can be pretty stuffy.
Yeah.
So I am an outlier for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's why I want you to bring your voice today. Alfie Cohen, who I misspelled his name the other day. So sorry, Alfie.
Everybody always does Cohen. It's Kohn.
Yeah.
So wait, I'll get the book. I have it. And okay. I know where it is. My drunk squirrels know where it is. Hold on.
Oh my gosh, this is big. So if you haven't looked up Alfie Cohen, I heard his name when I was first starting teaching. Yet I talk to people every day, never heard his name. Check this. The name of the book is, bring it down.
Punished by Rewards.
Check that book out.
This is the trouble with gold stars, incentive plans, A's, grades, and other things. And I can send it to you if you want to share it. I was just on the Talk Inclusive podcast, and he was also on it, which kind of makes me feel famous that we're on the
Yeah.
same podcast.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he talks a lot about what I'm going to talk about. And I was like really proud because I've worked really hard, read lots of stuff. And the things I came up with for suggestions is the ones he came up with.
Good.
But like separately. And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
and I want to be his best friend, to be honest, except
Yeah.
I'm really squirrely. And he's super, he's pretty serious and ducky. Like he has all his ducks in a row. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'd be too much for him. I really want to email him, but I have to like, I don't know, calm down, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's
I think
okay.
he would find me too much, I think.
Okay, we're jumping in. So here's what we're going to do. I want you to tell me in just a few sentences why external rewards are not beneficial to children.
External rewards is a behavior game, and every child, every person, every human gets to choose whether they play a game or not. Children are not allowed to decide if they play this game. And most external reward systems are public. Most public systems end in shame, guilt, and embarrassment. Should I bow? That was really good for me. I did like 4 sentences.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
shame,
thank you.
Guilt, and embarrassment. Now, would we ever want children to feel shame, guilt, and embarrassment?
No, and if you want all the information on why that is the case, everybody know who Brene Brown is, Brene Brown. She is a shame and vulnerability researcher. And so she has books, she has podcasts, she has TED Talks. She used to be, I don't know if that's still the case, the #1 watched TED Talk ever.
Okay.
And to be a TED Talk girl or boy, it's like almost impossible. Shame goes through your whole life and you hold on to it, and it affects relationships, it affects experiences. I've had people who are 50, 60 years old, 70 years old that say the shame that they've had in school, and they could tell you what they were wearing, who they were with, names of things, and they're like, don't I have a good memory? I was like, that's shame playing a role.
Yeah.
It's like, you remember all that because you're reeling, right? You're in that cycle.
Yeah. So, and I think what's important here is that most teachers who utilize these external reward systems don't realize that that is the byproduct. So what is it, do you think it is that captivates these teachers to want to do it, that has school districts promoting these programs? I mean, these are intelligent people. They've been to college. They've been around kids. Mm-hmm. Why would they say it's a positive thing?
Okay, so first of all, just like me, when you go, the minute your tuchus hits a chair to learn about education, we should be learning about temperaments. Instead, we have because temperament helps with behavior, helps with everything really, but we are taught these external reward systems because we want fun, fast, and easy.
Fun,
so
fast,
teachers,
and easy.
Yes. So teachers are only doing what they were taught. I also did them because that's what I was taught.
Yep.
The reason districts do it, or administration says we have to do this, right? It's mandatory for a lot of teachers, so they don't have a choice.
Yep.
It is always grouped or like padded with this positive language, and if you didn't know to be critical and pick it apart, it sounds awesome. Mm-hmm. But then we have to think, teachers are, especially now after, I shouldn't say after COVID, it's not after. They're having a really hard time, and they just need kids to sit down, stop blurting out, behave, so I can, right? We have this COVID lag, and we just have to teach them academics, and they're pulling out their hair, and they're doing these systems. The problem is you say, okay, we're going to do, right? You're a, I don't know, bear, right? We're the bears at school. That's our mascot. So we're going to do bear bucks. Yep. And we're going to give them away if you do these certain things, if you behave. The problem is that kids will do it at least one time, maybe a whole day. The teachers are like, oh my gosh, I found the thing that works for the kids. And this is so amazing. And they're psyched.
Yes.
And then they go home, they tell everybody, they tell home, they're like, we had the best day at school. All the kids earned these things. And then what happens? The kids figure out quickly that like the kid said today, those are stupid. Because I had my sweatshirt on that said, he said, what's your sweatshirt say? I said, it's a good day to ditch the clip chart. He goes, oh, I know I liked you. So the problem is that the kids then do this and I'm not working for those things anymore. But now teachers are like, oh, but I really liked that part where I thought I had the thing. So they're chasing it. They change. No, whatever you start with now, like bare bucks, that is not what you're ending with in the school year. It will change probably, in my experience, around November. They're going to move it, or they're going to play a different game with a different medium.
Okay.
And then by the end of the year, they've done about 3 to 5 changes on that. And like the kids today, when I went to the house, they were like, those are dumb. I don't care about them. And the prizes are stupid. Mm-hmm. And I was like, right. But then teachers say, well, what do I do instead?
Yep.
Right. So if you're going on Pinterest and searching behavior management, we need to feng shui ourselves out of that. Woo-hoo, get out. And when people ask me that question, they want me to answer in 1 or 2 sentences. They want me to give you another Pinterest strategy. But that's the wrong question. It's not what do I do instead? It's what new information do I need so I know what to do instead. The new information doesn't have to come from me. It can come from Alfie Kohn. It can come from Brene Brown. It can come from Mona Delahook. It can come from Ross Green. It could come from a whole bunch of other people, but we need new information. The hard thing is right now is the new information means teachers have to put in their own time, put in their own money. And that's really tricky right now because I go to schools and I look at teachers. I was like, you're still here? I love you for still being here because it's hard right now. Mm-hmm. And I think because it's so hard, we want fun, fast, and easy. We want it to happen right away.
Yeah. Okay, so real quick, let's just go back to this idea that if I am the teacher and I give you a bear buck for doing something, I am deciding, I'm the judger, right?
Yeah, yes.
So what we want to do is we want to switch it because that's someday you're not going to have a judger. You need to be the judger. We need to empower our kids to be the judgers.
Oh, I love you so much, Jocelyn, for asking this. Go ahead.
Break this down as to what exactly goes on here. So you've given me the bear buck. Thank you. I picked up the garbage. I get a bear buck now. I feel good for a split second. Teacher feels awesome. They got that quick win. But then what happens? What happens to the child? You talked about the next day, they're like, screw the, forget the bear buck. Forget the bear buck, not into it, okay? Right. What else can happen when that teacher is the judger and this kid got the bear buck and this kid didn't get the bear buck? What happens to this kid?
So it sets up a competitive classroom, right? Like now it's me against you, and it's like now it's like we're playing soccer and we're head to head, right? And it makes kids, so if I'm a kindergarten student, I have to adjust, and I shouldn't be the one adjusting. The teacher should be the one adjusting to me. I have to adjust to get the bear buck according to who you are and what rules I have to follow to get this bear buck. And then in first grade, there's a different teacher with different rules and different judgment. In second grade, there's different rules and different teacher and different judgment. By the time you get, I think they probably are done around 6-ish grade, maybe. So like, but then they turn into other things. And then by the time you're 18, you've been a little bit of your kindergarten teacher and a little bit of your first grade teacher and a little bit of your second grade teacher. And like, who am I and how do I speak up for myself? How do I self-advocate? How do I know how to behave without somebody, like you said, like giving me things. Now I have a whole bunch of kids who will only do stuff to get things.
Yeah.
And so people will also say, we'll do the right, start with external rewards, and then you're going to pull those back and you're going to use intrinsic motivation. But while you're using intrinsic rewards, they adversely affect each other. So and this podcast will, Alfie Kohn says it beautifully, like when you use external rewards, you're actually decreasing intrinsic motivation. So the longer you do this, the less this is happening. So when you go to switch it or flip it or stop the external rewards, you have these kids who have 0 to none intrinsic motivation because they don't know how to even do that anymore, because we've taught them to only do things to get things.
Yeah, and then they can't determine if something is good or not. And I think that's kind of the piece is, let's talk about that piece of garbage that got the bear buck. Instead of, I get the bear buck because I picked up the piece of garbage, helping the children instead to say, I'm going to pick up this garbage because this is my world and I'm a part of it and I'm living in this world and I'm going to take care of it.
Yes, because I would love a clean classroom because that helps me learn best.
So
right.
Talk about that language, because I think if we're going to help that shift away from, I'm going to judge you, student, you need to act a certain way to get my positive praise. Oh, and by the way, over here, you student over here, you aren't acting the way, so you are going to get my negative praise.
Right.
Instead, what is this going to look like? What is the teacher going to be saying to really work with this internal motivation? How does she or he talk?
So I just did my internal motivation. If you're here and you listen, I will give it to you, Jocelyn, and I'll give you the free code word. I would love people to be able to have it. It's my intrinsic motivation. So it goes by temperament. So there are some kids motivated by challenge, choice, and control by temperament. Okay. They're motivated that way. There are some kids that are motivated by attention, recognition, and approval. And those are actually the kids that like the bear bucks. But it doesn't mean that they should be judged. It still should be a sharing power and control sort of situation where they decide if they get it or not. And when they're done and they can opt out at any time. There are some kids that want security, appreciation, and assurance. And there are some kids that want quality answers, excellence, and value. So we have to know, like I said, the minute your little tookus hits a seat to do education, we did not learn about temperaments. And temperaments tell us so much. It tells us approaches to learning. It tells us intrinsic motivation. It tells us why we wouldn't do certain things, why we would do certain things, except we don't learn that. I didn't learn that in any of my master's education. I learned it in my behavior classes. And you know who knows that? CFOs, CEOs, COOs, people who are like sales managers that make a lot of money. They have to know the pattern of human behavior so I can come to you and sell you things the way you need to be talked to, except teachers don't know any of that. And I don't know why when I do my challenging behavior workshop through temperament, people get mad at the end. They were like, what? How have I been in this field 20 years and I've never heard anybody say anything like that? It makes so much sense. And human behavior is a pattern. And so I've had people in 20, 30, 35 years that don't know the pattern. Yeah. I don't know why we don't tell the pattern.
Well, yeah, so when I first started teaching, I remember it was just a large group of 25 kids and I was freaked out.
Ditto.
And I'm like, all right, how am I going to manage this mob? And it really wasn't until
like herding cats, right? Herding cats.
For sure. And it really wasn't, and not saying you have to have children to have this happen, but I remember once I had children and I got to know that child, and I got to know her, and I got to know, obviously her name since I named her, but like I got to know what made her tick. I got to know, what made her upset. And I started to realize that every single one of those children in my classroom was an individual.
Yes.
And somebody cared about them. Somebody hoped I brought my best to them. And I've been learning a lot about love languages.
Oh, and, I have a workshop on that too. Yeah.
And that's kind of along the same temperament line. If
Yes.
you were to
Yes.
take a look at your classroom and love languages, if you have not looked into them,
I'm gonna get a book. Hold on. I have that book too.
okay, she's got the book. So there's 6 love languages, and this has stood the test of time. And I encourage everybody watching to figure out what your love language is. Figure out what your partner's love language is. Are you somebody who loves, gifts? You love gifts. That makes you feel like you're being seen. But children, yes, okay, 5. I said 6. I maybe made up one.
Oh, when you said 6, I was like, oh, there's 6. And I'm like, maybe
made
this
an
little
extra
book
one
and they added one. Yes,
but
by
this is so good.
Gary Chapman and Ross Campbell. One of them is the chicken soup for the soul, guys.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So think about that. I was thinking, that would be a great place for you to start, even with your own children, is to find out what their love language is. But if you have a child who you're maybe struggling with in your classroom, there are tests that you can do, and they don't have to be there with you, but you can kind of learn, having watched some of their behaviors. Yeah. What do they love? We all have one of those that we fit into a lot, and they also have a couple. But anyway, keep going. Love languages and temperaments.
Yeah. So I forgot what the question was, to be honest.
I don't know what the question was. We kind of went off there.
Well, I do that best, by the way.
Yeah. So let's talk about teachers who are saying, you know what? These external rewards work wonderfully in my classroom.
Yep.
And especially with my children, my autistic children. They work really well for them. Okay.
You're trying to get me.
I'm firing you up, because if we don't make a difference tonight, if we can't get someone to say, oh, maybe I'll do it different, then we haven't done our work.
Okay. So I get this all the time. So when I first started on like Instagram, people would say, but it works in my classroom and the kids love it. And I used to be like, oh, and I used to kind of tiptoe around it. And now this is what I say. No, they don't. And no, it doesn't. They do not work the way you want them to. They work out of fear, right? Because it's all external reward systems. If you don't share power and control, is a fear-based strategy. And my kids love them. No, they don't. The people pleasers look like they might love them. Remember that 35 and 20. Hold on, doing math in my head. 60% of kids, based on human behavior patterns, internalize feelings. So you don't know what's happening. So I went out and asked my Instagram people, and I said, if you were a teacher or if you were a parent, please talk to me about how kids in your life feel about these external reward systems: stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips. I got dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of feedback. One said, my kids love them. It helps them gauge their behavior. All the other ones, negative. Increased anxiety, increased depression, increased perfectionism, and lower self-esteem across the board.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I'm always analyzing myself.
Yeah. Self-reflection is where we should start always.
Yes. And, I think about, I'm a people pleaser, and I need to be I hope someday I'm a recovering people pleaser. So that's my goal. But, I remember coming home from my piano lessons, which I loved, but I came home and I played the piano in the kitchen with the song I learned. Do you know why?
So you would get a recognition from somebody?
I wanted my parents to say, oh, Joss, it sounds so good.
Yep. Right.
And I didn't know it. And even to this day, I struggle with wanting that from people. And I have to catch myself. Because I have to say to myself, you need to do it for you. You don't need to do it for the world. And if you think of anything that's crushing us more than we could ever believe, it's the likes on Facebook. It's the followers on Instagram. So, in some ways, we're battling this as adults. Do you approve of me? Do you like my reel? And so Brene Brown talks to adults. Okay, she's talking to adults who have been shamed, adults who are vulnerable. But now we as educators today, right now, tonight, We have an opportunity tomorrow when you step into that classroom to have a mindset shift that could change those kids for a lifetime. And that's what I think I don't want to miss here is
Right.
how if all of you could reflect on your own childhood and opportunities that you have had where somebody judged you. They either told you you weren't good or you were amazing. And how is that impacting you now as an adult? Because when we can start to take a look at it from ourselves, we can start to say, well, I don't want my kids to be that way. I want my kids to be intrinsically motivated to pull that garbage can up or, go check the eggs in the chicken coop, or what are things in your classroom that could set them up for these internal rewards?
Right. And it's so hard because we all learned a different way. And we have to start with self-reflection. So I, even though I don't look like it because I'm pretty feisty, and sassy and intense, I also am a people pleaser. So I really like the Atta girls, but I used to say, I don't like the Atta girls. Who cares? Doesn't matter. And I was like, but it's so hard for me to say that I'm a people pleaser, that I want those, but we can give kids the reassurance they need. So kids need 4 times more encouragement than praise. So instead of good job, being like, you know what, dude, I remember when you couldn't do that. And now look at you. You zipped your coat and you zipped her coat. You are really, really, really practicing the skills that you need to practice. And you are being such a huge member of this community. I did not know today was going to be the day. My gosh, should we write a note to your mom? Like, should we tell her? Right? Especially if note or gifts or affirmation is a love language. They'd be like, yes. And you know those kids, because the minute their mom gets there, right, they when I was teaching kindergarten, they would tell them. So we really have to pay attention to, can't we just give reassurance and say and give encouragement without it being attached to a prize from the Oriental Trading Company? Can't we? Or Target, or right. And when I see those things, kids are like, but I really want the prize. I was like, what's the prize? I'll just go to the dollar store and buy it. Everybody gets the stuff from the dollar store. Just go to your dollar store and buy it and give it all to the kids. I have a 10-part, nope, it's 11-part actually. PBIS is really huge in schools right now. And I have a, but PBIS is mandatory bundle on my website, but I also have the 11 steps to take, and they're all laminated. Oh my gosh, they're all labeled. They're all labeled on their reels. Like, where do I start? How do I break this down from, I have to do PBIS because it's mandatory. I don't want to lose my job. Although I don't think right now you would lose your job, because I'm sure your district is short 4 million teachers. But a lot of teachers that get into teaching young kids have that people pleaser temperament, so they're going to do it. So how do I flip it so it doesn't hurt kids? Do as the least amount of hurt as you can. And I've done that in my in those 11 steps. There, you have to probably scroll a little bit because they're down there, or you can find me on Instagram or Facebook, and I put them all down, and I can just write. My squirrels remembered to copy the link and make like a note in my phone. Can you imagine?
Okay. Yeah, because I think that's what we need is, what are the steps to get out of this? And also I think what I love is when like real scenarios are given. So you kind of gave one there. So let's talk about another one. Give me another example of a situation happens in a classroom. What is an internal reward versus an external reward? To pick anything.
So let's do kids that need to clean up their space and then sit back down.
Okay.
Right?
That's
so a lot of teachers will say, if they'll give like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you clean up your space and you sit down, you get a sticker, ticker, choker, and pointer clip. So you have to start at the very beginning and say, I know I work better when this space looks awesome, because everything's put in its place. It's visually beautiful. It feels good. It's cozy to be in. We want it to be like a home-like environment. We want it to be cozy. That has to start at the very beginning. So when it's a mess, saying, oh man, okay. A lot of times teachers are pointing to kids like, you pick up that, and you pick up that, and you pick up that. And the teachers don't actually pick up stuff. So I would start picking up stuff. The people pleasers will then automatically help you. They will automatically get up and help you. There are some kids that want to challenge and be like, you know what, dude? How many pieces, how many pencils could you get? Do you think you could get, I could see like 5 pencils. And then these kids are even like pretty intense. So you're like, I bet you couldn't find them. Right. And then they're like, what? And then when it's done, when everybody's picked up, some kids will just want company. Say, hey, you want to come with me? You want to be with me? You want to be my helper? You want to hang out with me, right? To pick stuff up. And then at the end, you'd be like, you know what, guys? We totally rocked this. We totally rocked it. Right? Because now you're giving that encouragement. Like, this room was so messy. And I was thinking, we're never going to be able to do this. And you know what? I'm ashamed that I thought that. I should have totally known that you were going to do that. You totally did it. Man. And then we don't, and then people always want to like give something. Let's have extra recess. We have to zip it. So if we want to give kids extra recess, if we want to have a pizza party, if we want to have a movie day or pajama day, we just do those things because they're fun. We don't do them because they cleaned up the whole classroom. And I know if you are gifts by love language, so a lot of, if the teachers are gifts by love language, these external reward systems feel good. Mm-hmm. So we do what could be intrinsic motivation, and then we flip it to external rewards because we are gifts and we feel good giving kids things. And that is a self-reflection piece, not right. We have to start. The first thing we have to do is answer the question, who am I? Then we answer the question, who is this child? A lot of times we forget the first question and we go right to the second one.
Yeah.
We can't do that.
Yeah, that makes really good sense. So yeah, I mean, yeah, so good. Okay, so I had a teacher who brought this idea that she was actually not going to be a part of the judging whether or not kids get this or that, and instead put it on the children.
Yes.
So
yes.
She's got these jars, and again, great intention. So I just want to say that everybody who is in teaching, I know you have the best intentions.
Of course, yes.
And you don't know what you don't know. So if tonight you're coming and you're hearing something that you have been doing, do not shame yourself. Do not
know that I've done them. Yeah. And I am very vocal about not doing them now, but I did them. Almost all of them.
Yeah, like I used to pass out M&Ms, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, how gross. They reach in there and they all touch the same thing.
I saw somebody one time, a little girl, get a Skittle, and it was just in an open bowl, and she like reached to the bottom to get a purple.
I totally did that. First year teaching, right here, I did it. Okay. So she is doing something where instead of she's doing it, the kids are getting to, if you do something nice for somebody, then you get to go drop something in your jar. So I'm sure it's kind of a chance for, them to kind of recognize that I did something, but I'm wondering if turning it external and having it be visual on literally the outside is causing what in the end may be what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, so there's a lot of manipulation that goes on with that. The 2 kids I saw tonight said, both of them said, well, the 2 girls that always got the gotcha cards or whatever, they were called gotcha cards. They were so fake. And another boy said, oh, the kids just see the teachers coming over and do something nice. But that is the first way to flip it. If you were like, but I have to do this, the first thing you're going to do is have the kids choose whether they get a sticker, ticket, token, pointer, clip.
Yeah.
I prefer my match game. So my match game looks like this. It's all about self-reflection, self-regulation, has nothing to do with external rewards. So say I'm going to pick circle time, Jocelyn, because that's your thing. So circle time, we're all gonna, right? There's one little boy that like moves at circle time. He's flipping at circle time. He gets up and talks at circle time. He's like licking kids and farting on others. And, I mean, that kid at circle time.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, bud, you know what? Let's try, right? You're going to have a goal for circle time. Let's try to sit and only get up 3 times. And then at the end of circle time, you're going to say, okay, John, let's play the match game. So the match game is 1 is okay, 2 is good, 3 is great. Notice that none of them are fair or poor. Okay, good, and great. You put your hand behind your back, or you could put 1 star, 2 star, or 3 stars. It could look like this. This is another version of it. Okay, good or great. If you do your hands or you do those, you are going to go a split second after the kid, because the goal is to match. So you're going to go 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put up a 2. John puts up a 3, and I was like, oh, we didn't match. You're going to use a little bit of humor. Oh, we didn't match. How come you picked a 3, buddy? And he goes, you know what? I know I got up 5 times and it was only supposed to be 3, but I really wanted to get up 7 times.
Oh.
So he adjusted to the 2 times, and I said, oh, I picked 2 because I did count 5 times and our goal was 3. But 5 was less than you normally do. So I picked the middle one. And you know what? If I had asked you first and then played the match game, I think I would have given you a 3. And then you just record it. So my match game, if you buy it on my website, it has like a Google Docs thing that you can because public schools are very into data. So like whether you matched or not, like I had this one that's paper, we had 48 of them, 36 were matches, 12 were not matches. All the not matches have like information and like why he didn't match on the back. And he goes, whoa, I did really great with that. Because he knew, right? He sort of was like, oh, right, I did this. But the kid gets to say their piece. With external reward systems, there's no piece they get to say.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no like, but what's going on with you today? Well, I thought I had a hard time and I didn't eat breakfast and I fought with my mom and I've felt off all day. I've heard that. I've heard, I was spanked this morning. I've heard that I didn't eat breakfast. I heard that I didn't sleep because my parents were fighting. I've heard, and then you think, now they don't get a reward, but we don't know what happened before they got here. Or I was out on the playground. I've heard this. I was out on the playground and I was being bullied, or I was out on the playground and my friend didn't want to play with me. And I'm really struggling with having friends. Or we need to make sure that kids are telling us those things. If relationship is your best behavior strategy, when we do external reward systems and we don't let the kids say their piece, we're hurting that relationship every single time.
Okay, so Meg, you're hitting on what I think in the end is what teaching is all about.
Yeah.
It is about getting to know children on a personal level.
Yes.
And when children walk in, I love to make that moment of connection and just check in with them. And I encourage teachers throughout the day to at least do a couple check-ins with every single child, because you're getting a chance for them to let you know what's going on, and also make sure you know what's going on at home. Mm-hmm. So that it starts to make sense. What's hard for me is when I see a teacher say, stop crying.
No, now, you're okay. I hear this. You're okay. Well, they're not okay.
So,
they're crying.
Can you imagine, Meg, if you were crying right now and I said to you, stop crying?
Oh, or you're okay. I'm obviously not okay if I'm crying.
I won't say that. You're an adult, okay?
Yeah.
So if I treat a child like an equal, which in my opinion, they are humans, they are equal, our ages are different, we are equals though, I would say, just as I would to adult, oh, Meg, what's going on? Are you doing okay today? I'm not going to tell you to stop crying, or I'm not going to say, you're okay.
Yeah.
So I think that what we're forgetting is that kids are people. They're just little people.
Yeah.
When we start to realize that, we can start to play this a lot differently. And I think we start to get those results because they too start to see,
Mm.
she sees me. And
And
she
they're not
knows,
little people that are empty vessels. A lot of
no,
people think they're like empty and we have to fill them with all this information.
yes.
If we let them have a chance to talk, the things they say, you're like, oh my gosh, you are the smartest, right? Like they really have such good insight, but a lot of times they have to stay quiet, do your work. I don't want to hear from you.
Yeah.
Because and I get it, as a teacher, you need to be teaching this curriculum and you got to move on, and there's a schedule, and there are some kids that are really going to disrupt your schedule, but telling them to stop crying or stop talking or not do the things that come naturally to them can be pretty hurtful.
Yeah, and I really think making those 2 minutes of your day for every kid, or even 1 minute or 10 seconds,
Mm.
literally you are banking those opportunities. You are building that relationship with
And
that
you have to
child.
do it, and don't fool yourself, because I think a lot of people will say to you, Jocelyn, or thinking right now, like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for 2 minutes a kid. Well, you do. You're gonna have 45 minutes for that kid right there if you're not doing things proactively.
Yeah. Yeah.
I promise you, reactively is always, and I say always and never, very rarely, always shorter.
Yep.
Proactively is always shorter.
Exactly. Creating relationships. So I'm going to go back to the two things that you talked about: self-regulation and self-reflection.
Yeah.
So those are the two that we want. If we have our children leaving our classroom with the ability to self-regulate
Mm-hmm.
and to reflect on their behavior, we have given them the gift that will carry them for a lifetime. As opposed to the opposite, which these external behaviors cause all of the issues of feeling like you're not good enough, feeling like other people have to decide if you're good enough. Maybe even some of these kids who can't self-regulate, they are pushed down and made feel even worse because they can't self-regulate, and then we're not helping them. So
And we need to co-regulate with those kids, right? And the
absolutely, and
hard
that's a
thing is
mirror.
that
Yeah.
a lot of teachers will say, like, I'm willing to co-regulate, but I'm the only one with 25 kids. And I was like, the solution to that is there shouldn't be any one teacher with 25 kids, because at some point you have to choose this kid or the other 20 or the other 24 kids, and that's impossible. But co-regulation comes before self-regulation, especially with really little kids.
Yeah. So I don't mean to plug the circle, but I will just say that
No,
I
plug it.
feel like some of the activities, well, most of the activities that I share actually they help with self-regulation.
Yeah.
So if we're doing a stop and start game and we're moving around and the music stops and the child feels what that feels like when they're in a happy mood, that is a muscle memory that they can use when they're feeling upset, finding that more quickly because they've had that experience. The other thing that really helps is when you do have 25 children and you're doing some of these activities that I share, because they're multisensory, they are tapping into lots of different learning styles, and you don't have those behavior issues because children of all varieties are getting their needs met. Whether
Yeah.
they're a child who needs to move around, got that done because we've got the kinesthetic piece to it. Oh, they need to be touching things. Got that because we're always working with tactile. So sometimes these issues with needing to provide rewards or consequences can almost be an ancillary thing. And the more important thing is to look like, how are you teaching? Are you teaching in a way that's with the brain in mind, that's with the child in mind? And I don't think that it's, of course we have individual children who have individual needs, but when we start to look at a way that we can do activities that appeal to the masses, you can start to see some of these behaviors actually go away. And you don't even have to acknowledge some of them because they take care of themselves
Yeah.
just naturally.
That's true.
So that's open till September 30th if anybody wants to join the circle. But before I forget, I've got 2 questions from Emery. She wasn't able to make it tonight.
Okay.
And so before we wrap this up, because we just have a few minutes left, I just want to ask this question because as she phrased it, I think it could be that teachers may be able to have situations like that they'll be liking to hear your answer.
Okay.
I have students who are scared or refuse to use the large restroom at either end of our school for various reasons. It's dark, it's scary, the lighting, it's loud flushing noises. And some might also just be refusing to be difficult because they see other kids getting away with not pottying all along with the class during a break. It's causing lots of issues and accidents throughout the day. I've had talks with them, tried to do demonstrations about why we don't need to be afraid of the large restroom, but it's still not sticking with the large majority of them, and most prefer to use the individual small bathroom in my classroom. I need your help in figuring out an alternative reward or way to get them to go to the bathroom at the same time with their class. I know extrinsic rewards are the opposite of the conscious discipline I am trying to achieve, but any ideas on the bathroom issue?
Flashlights and Post-its.
Okay.
So is it automatic flush, I wonder? If it's automatic flush, you're gonna, so first of all, you're gonna go when it's not bathroom time, and you have to role play this. We're gonna go to the bathroom and we're gonna, I don't know, all have a flashlight, all have something like a glow stick, I don't know, something that if it's dark or right, that's what you had said. We're gonna go down, you're like, okay, guys, do you all have your flashlights? I need you all to look behind the doors. I need you to look under the things. She has to like really role play what this looks like, to talk about not being scared in the classroom when you're not in the bathroom. Doesn't really help.
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, doesn't make sense.
meaning.
It's like,
No
don't
meaning.
be scared of the dark, but I'm telling you that in the light. Or don't be scared of
Yeah.
the ocean, of the sharks when we're in the lake. Like, right, you have to be there. And they have to have a tool. So if it's automatic flushing, how many people know the minute you get up, it like flushes and you're like, ew, gross.
Yeah.
And if you put a Post-it on that, it stops it from flushing and putting water on your behind.
Yeah.
But it's also really loud.
Yeah.
Also, some schools, I don't know who made these. I don't know who had a meeting, but they should stop the like automatic fan things. First of all, it's a germaphobe nightmare, and it's so loud. Oh,
Yeah. Okay.
gross. So she needs to go down and like inspect the bathroom. And then I'd be like, did anybody find anything? Someone's going to say like, oh my gosh, this is like, oh, what should we do? Oh my gosh, what should we do? Hey, you know what? I got, you got to be really playful and lighthearted. Like I got chalk. Should we put an X like on that, like with chalk, right? Something that's not with a Sharpie, but like figure out how do we get there. And if a kid is like still so scared is the hardest emotion, right? We're with little kids, we're really focused on happy, sad, mad, and afraid. And if they are afraid, then they do get to use, so we can't make kids eat, sleep, go to the bathroom, or talk. Okay. So we're not doing any external rewards on eating, sleeping, going to the bathroom, or talking, because only kids can control that. So we really need to, so I would say to her, you want to role play, you want to have a physical thing, you need to arm them with something. I'm scared, so I want to like have a teddy bear in your classroom because it makes you nervous to go down there. And then you're going to have a basket so they don't bring the teddy bear in the toilet with them. And you're probably going to bring it home on Fridays and wash it. But have them put it in the basket, maybe something to go with them, right, to help them co-regulate. You're going to you need to give them a tool. And you have to talk about how scary the bathroom is in the bathroom. And you need to role play. Those would be my suggestions.
Yeah. And I think that's, again, if we looked at these situations in an adult setting, I think we could probably start to solve them a little bit better. So if I were to say, hey, I've got this house, I'm a realtor, and I'm really scared to go over to this house to show it. Mm-hmm. And, just thinking about it that way, what would you want an adult to say to
A
you?
buddy, right? Have a
Yeah.
buddy go to the bathroom with you.
Yeah, let's go, come with me. I'm going to go show this house with you. But I think also kind of desensitizing them. But I love the idea of in the moment, give meaning to it. Take them there. It's kind of like talking about the weather and, you know, that it's raining out, but yet, you know, a child's never actually been outside feeling the rain. So
Right.
making that make sense, taking an abstract concept and turning it into something concrete.
And then you can even say, like, guys, did you know we're going on a field trip today? Are you ready? We're going to the field trip. Are you ready for this? To the bathroom down the hall. Yeah. My gosh. So on field trips, we need to, right? And then it has to be like role playing, but lighthearted and fun. And then they'll be like, remember, we went to the bathroom with flashlights? I was like, yeah, I still have them. Do you want to bring it down? Right. And then you have to, but I got to count on you not to shine it in classrooms and not to, right. And then if it gets to the point where it's like too much, like somebody takes it too far, then you're going to talk to them about it. You don't necessarily have to take the flashlight away. I thought I could count on you to go to the bathroom and use the flashlight in the bathroom. Yeah. I'm going to give you a couple more chances, but I know you could do it. Yeah. Maybe tomorrow's going to be your best day. So right. And you have to really fight the giving them something or taking away something. Yeah. At what point do you think that she would finally need to say for a certain child, they're so scared they are gonna use the individual bathroom? So I think I think tears. I think kids, like, if you know temperaments, right, that sweet, sensitive people pleaser temperament can have a lot of anxiety. So kids that show these pieces, right, maybe you don't say it in front of anybody, but you're like, Jocelyn, come here, you're like really truly scared of that bathroom, truly. And they're like, yes. I'm like, you know what, just say you have to go, you can just go here. And then it should be at the very beginning of the year, it should be fair doesn't mean equal. So Jocelyn has to go to the bathroom here because she's working on getting to the big bathroom. You're already good at it. And when you need something, you bet your bottom dollar I am going to be watching, and I'm going to make sure that you get what you need. I'm making sure Jocelyn right now gets what she needs. Safety. Yeah. Right. And see, and if you're not going to provide, you have to provide, right, physiological needs, right? Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You need to, basic needs have to be met, but safety needs are the second one. Yep. So I think it's pretty obvious when kids are pretending because they don't want to walk down the hall for whatever reason, and kids are like legitimately scared. I think if you know your kids, it's pretty obvious. Yeah. Those are all great suggestions. And my other favorite thing is always to kind of role play with a puppet. Yes, to make sure that puppet, you know, maybe says the things that those kids were thinking. I was really scared down there. Jocelyn, and it should be, if we're talking about the bathroom, it should be a poop puppet. I'm just saying. Dude, I have a poop emoji costume. I mean, I could come to their classroom as a poop emoji. I have a poop emoji hat that I could make a puppet. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're doing this. But right, because that's part of the playful, like, okay, this puppet, are you guys ready? I'm going to show you a puppet about the bathroom, and then a poop puppet? Oh my gosh, that's hysterical. I mean, you have to be ready for a lot of poop talk after that. You got to kind of shake that. Yeah, you know, yes. I mean, I think it's funny. Man, Meg, this has been so much fun. I know, I don't want it to be 9, boo. Or nine my time. Well, and I want to apologize to anybody like Little Songbird, which I love. Little Songbird, Songs for Learning. We need to talk, Little Songbird, as you come on, Lisa. I totally messed up, and I set the whole everybody telling the world at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and then Meg said, "No, I'm probably going to be in bed because that's like midnight on the East Coast." Yeah. We were going to start at 9, and I was going to. So we switched. Oh, and sorry. Before we go, a quick message. Darcy wrote this, and I'm so sorry. She says, what do you do as a parent? A parent who at the school, the reward system's going on, then she knows it's not good. It's so troubling, but not for her son, but for the entire school. What can you do as a parent when you know this external reward system is? Okay, so hold on a sec. So you're going to get... So impressed I know where all my books are. I know. So you're going to get punished by rewards. You're going to get... Yes. So people will say it doesn't work in... Right? Alfie says it doesn't work in schools. It also doesn't work in the real world. This is the like business real world version of Alfie's book Drive by Daniel Pink. It's like,
Okay.
it also
Oh, yeah.
doesn't work for like companies that say if you sell this much, you can go to Cabo San Lucas.
Yeah.
Also doesn't work in those situations either. And then if you go to my homepage, the very bottom of my homepage, if you don't click anything except go to the bottom, there's research. So I have, oh gosh, I don't know, not 90, 100 articles on why this stuff doesn't work. And you're gonna, I don't know, print out 10.
Okay.
And you're gonna have these 2 books, and you're gonna have other friends, other parents, unless you don't care if you're the only one. It's more impactful if you have other parents, and you're gonna hold these things. And I can send the video. I made a reel about this. It says, I know you would never do anything to physically hurt my kid in this school. I know you would never do that. But I also don't want anything to be emotionally hurtful or her to feel emotionally unsafe in this school. And the things that you're doing, or the PBIS or the whatever tokens, whatever, are emotionally hurtful. And I have a lot of research that proves that. When you get research that proves that it does work and not, or I'm not interested in the or, I'm interested in the and, so it doesn't work and it keeps a child's emotional wellness intact, I would love to sit and meet with you. Until then, I'm not going to let my child play that behavior game. Right. And you have to be, there's no, and Alfie Kohn says that you have to simultaneously say, I'm going to try not to, I'm going to, right, as a teacher, I'm going to try not to do the things that are hurtful for kids. And at the same time say, I'm not doing those things. And how do we do that simultaneously? As a parent, it is a game. All of them are games. And think of a time that you've played a game that you haven't chosen. So your child's not choosing it. My child chooses not to play that game. And then you have to have a conversation with your child about like what part's going to be hard for you, not getting the reward. I'll just find out what the rewards are and we can get them.
Go buy some. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to be, it is most impactful if you have the research with you and you are able to be loud. If you need me, I can give you the language to use. I've given a lot of people language to use and they've like gone in front of the mirror, kind of like a theatrical performance.
Yeah.
And they've gotten in front of the mirror and said things, and I can help you with an email. But we have to start with like Jocelyn said, teachers don't know what they don't know. They're only doing it because that's what they learned or that's what they are made to do.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate, but if we keep having parents that say this and take their kids off these, like my kid is not doing it, then they have to find something else.
Yeah.
Because they can't have it anymore if there's no kids on it. And I think kids should be able to opt in or opt out. And that's in my PBIS, my 11 parts, which is on my reels.
Okay. So real quick. So Darcy asks for the website and I'm sure other people would love that too. What's your website?
MeggThompson.com with 2 G's. THOMPSON. I have an H and a P in my last name. So MeggThompson.com. Yeah.
Boom. Okay.
If you look up Megg Thompson, right, MeggThompson.com. If you look up Megg Thompson, I think I come up with 2 G's. I'm the only one with 2 G's. On Facebook or on Instagram, I just pop up.
Yeah. So I would encourage anybody who tonight has said, oh my goodness, I had no idea this was happening, or I've always felt this way and I just love that my view was substantiated. I encourage you to follow Megg on Instagram, because I think another thing that helps us, and she needs 50 more to get to that.
I know I need 50 more. Tell all your friends.
But I think what also helps us is if we can hear something said over and over again, kind of in different ways, it helps us build our words that can come out and feel proud about those words, so that you can say, the reason why external behaviors do not work for children is blah, blah, blah. And instead, I want to do intrinsic behaviors, intrinsic rewards, because blah, blah, blah. So if you can start to work up that and practice it in the mirror, practice it in the bathroom, the shower, you are going to start to empower yourself. And in the end, what's it going to do? Empower children to be the best versions of themselves. And that's what we're here for. That's why I'm here tonight. That's why I brought Megg. Anybody who's listening, I am so excited that you're here because you're willing to say, I want to hear another side. And I want to thank you.
And I hope that you heard it with an open mind and that I think I've answered every DM I've ever gotten. I've hearted or answered every comment I've ever gotten, even though I have a larger following. I still do that because I'm hoping someday, I'm trying to work myself out of a job. Like I hope someday that I don't have to do this anymore.
I know. And I hope someday every teacher is singing and then I can quit doing my job too.
Oh, so I remember teaching preschool, Jocelyn, and they were like, oh, I have a bad singing voice. I was like, they're 4.
Yeah.
They do not know that. Put on sparkles and then they don't know what I'm a terrible singer. It does not matter. I wore the worst outfits or the best outfits, depending on how you look at it, and sang all the time. Yeah. The kids truly do not care what you sound like.
Yeah.
They want you to be fun.
Yes.
The kids don't sound good either. Have you ever heard kids sing?
And that's another one where you just don't want to judge. You want to make sure that you aren't judging your voice or judging theirs, because all that is all the same. This is all wrapped up in the same piece. We want to make sure that we're coming from a different place of just bringing joy, not judging.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you to everyone who joined. If you're joining late and you thought it was at 6 because, well, you
sorry, we love you.
Then just go back. I'm going to put this I'm going to have it on YouTube, so you'll be able to find it on YouTube. I'll email everybody, and then I'll also put it on the Facebook group Circle Time Success. If you're not in that, join that. And you can watch the replay and ask us questions. Meg and I will both be in there and answering anything that you can imagine, including where you can buy her shirt. You should sell that.
Oh my God. So first of all, I don't sell the shirt, but I got tagged. It's Jack and Cora Designs.
Okay, Jack and Cora. Check that out. Get yourself a shirt.
Oh my gosh, it's so great. And they're pretty inexpensive. I think my hooded sweatshirt was like $25.
Oh, sweet.
Right? Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep. I mean,
all right.
I have 4 of them, so they weren't that expensive.
Perfect. All right, friends. Well, thank you so much for giving us your night, and go have fun and go find something that internally motivates you tonight.
Yo, do it.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.